4. Winter came and went. With the coming of summer, Tony and I started dressing neatly every day for the first time in our lives. Tony got a job delivering papers so he could have enough money to buy clothes. His mother shot up all the money she made, so he had to get his own. Jessie bought me anything I wanted, within reason, so I was just about the best-dressed boy in school. One day, just after my 12th birthday, I came home from school and Jessie told me it was time for me to learn my street education. I didn't know what she meant, because I thought I'd been learning about the streets without her knowing it. How utterly wrong I was. While I was eating, she told me she had to make a run, but she would be right back, so stay home. I waited impatiently until she returned. When she got back, she had a tall, dark man with her. I stared at him curiously. Since I had been born, this was the first man she had ever brought back to the house. Whenever Big Mama talked about pimps, she said I was the only pimp Jessie had, or wanted. He was the darkest man I'd ever seen. Actually, he was blue-black, with large red lips. He wore thick round glasses that made him look like an owl. Jessie introduced me to Fast Black. For the first time in my life, I learned that looks could be deceiving. He began teaching me all the connivance that went into the game. Trickology must be used whenever it was impossible to rip it off. Artifice became my Bible, as I learned how to play stuff, the shell game, pigeon drop, and three-card molly. Before I turned 13, I was on my way to becoming a card sharp. With a pair of craps, I was becoming a master. I could knock, shoot the turn down a pad roll. On sand, dirt, concrete, it didn't make any difference. Wherever they played, I just about had a shot for it. Fast Black used to tell me I could never claim to be good until I could take a pair of dice and get down on a blanket, then walk the dice from 2 to 12 without missing the sequence. My only problem at this time was the hours that Fast Black had me practice. I spent hour after hour in front of a mirror, pulling seconds or dealing cards from the bottom of the deck. When I finished with the cards, I'd have to spend 2 more hours shooting dice on the bed, with the blanket drawn tight. To break the repetition of daily practice, Jessie asked Fast Black to teach Tony how to play. We competed against each other for pennies each day. It wasn't long before we were keeping all the boys at school broke. At lunchtime, you could always find a game going somewhere on the tiny school ground. There was a Greasy Spoon restaurant across the street from the school. Most of the kids gathered there to play the jukebox. The owner, Fat Sam, liked to watch the young girls dance, so the jukebox kept money in it. After school one day, Tony and I saw a crowd gathered in front of the restaurant. Anticipating a fight, we ran over and joined the crowd. Janet, with 3 of her girlfriends, stood in the middle of the crowd singing. I watched her lead the group. Her small hips swayed with the beat of the tune. I knew then I was through pulling her hair in the classroom. A police car pulled up and scattered the crowd. I slipped away from Tony and approached Janet. I removed her books from her arms. She turned and stared, astonished. We were too shy to talk much that first day, but after a few days, she began to ask serious questions. What you gonna do, Whoreson, when you get grown? Pimp, baby, pimp, I would answer. She would shake her head, sadly. Don't you know there's better things in life than that? Why don't you finish school and go on to college? I'm ready for the fast track now, baby. I don't need no college, I replied as cool as possible. She puckered up, and tears rolled down her cheeks. I stopped and pulled her into a doorway. Our lips met for the first time. The kiss tasted salty, but it seemed to stop her from crying, so I kissed her again. After a while, she pushed me back from her. She stared up at me seriously. We have to stop seeing each other, Whoreson, 'cause I'm going to be a big singer someday, while you ain't gonna be nothing but a pimp. I stared at her, angrily, as she continued. My mother said singers go with entertainers or businessmen, while prostitutes go with pimps. I looked at her coldly. My mother told me something, too, I said harshly. When I was 3 years old and in my mother's arms, she looked down at me and said, "Son, the way I'm taking care of you now, when you get old, I'll always have you a woman to take care of you like this." Before she could interrupt, I continued, "Furthermore, before my daddy died, he bought me a graveyard, so that when I got old enough, I could drive my old Cadillacs there and leave 'em." I was talking fast now, 'cause she had hurt me. She started to walk off, but I grabbed her arm. "Before you go, young bitch, I want you to know. You said a pimp ain't nothing, but dig this. All I'm gonna do is rest and dress by gasoline lean. Now can you dig where I'm coming from, young ho? 'Cause that's all you is. I'm gonna buy diamond rings and have the best of everything." I turned her arm loose. "When you get home, tell your mammy for me that I wanted to know, when I get old, I'm gonna pimp hoes." With that said, I turned my back on her and walked off. I felt a large lump in my throat, and my eyes were so watery I couldn't call them raindrops. But I didn't cry. I walked tall, proud, because I knew I was going to be a pimp. After I got over the pain of that incident, I started gambling constantly. We were doing so well that Tony quit his job. Our next step was to start skipping school so we could gamble. Soon we were both keeping $50 to $100 bills in our pockets at all times. Whenever we did go to school, we had our pick of the girls. They fought constantly over us. While this popularity of mine was growing, Janet drifted completely out of my life. One afternoon, after we had won all the money on the school ground, we decided to skip the last 3 periods. After rambling up and down Hastings, we found a crap game going in an alley. We watched for a while. Most of the players were factory workers. Tony caught my eye. I stepped back so we could talk. They were bouncing a pair of red dice off a barn door, plus there seemed to be a nice amount of money in the game. I knew what was on his mind. We had a set of tea with us, but they were white. Our red set of loaded dice was at the house, and that was a problem. Jessie was at home still sleeping, and we were supposed to be in school. Tony tried to persuade me to slip into the house through a bedroom window. I shook my head stubbornly. I wasn't about to go for that. Jessie would kill me if she caught me skipping school. Suddenly, the lookout yelled cops. All of the guys gambling rushed through the garage door. Tony and I were caught flat-footed. Since we hadn't been gambling, I wasn't worried on that account. My main concern was being taken home by the police. I hadn't forgot the beating I got the last time some police took me home.